Travis Wayne Goodsell. If you've been paying attention to my checklist on who the last days millennial Moses is for the Mormon Church, and if you stayed to the end, I know it's long, but cram-packed of good, valuable information for those who are interested. I disclosed that the new name would have been Nephi, and that his birth date would be March 17th, 1970, such that the Jubilee year would be 2020. And if you don't know Jubilee, come on, guys, know your Hebrew. But in order for the identification to follow, we'd have to then check to see what date this person would have had their endowments. And as you saw from the pictures, the endowment for Nephi was on the 6th of the month for 1989, which back then boys went on missions at 19 years of age. And figuring that he was most likely at BYU or Rick's, he would have waited until after his birthday, obviously, but possibly after graduation. And so from May to the end of the year. And most likely during the summertime. But I'm putting all in on May 6th. And that's why I had the picture of my stellarium of that date, when the endowment would have occurred, which would have been on Saturday, which is when the Los Angeles temple would have had it, because he's not from Utah, if you remember in my video. He moves to Utah later on. And so because he's educated in Southern California, hiker of the mountains, attended Norco High, living in Corona, we can therefore make a pretty good educated guess that it was a Los Angeles temple, and May 6th, the Saturday, because that's when they would have had new missionaries go through over on Saturdays. It's not like in Utah where you can go during the week and they have a special session each day when new missionaries go through, or even those women who get married go through for the first time sessions. And so we got to think outside of Utah, and so yeah. And you're probably wondering, why is there a bull, Travis? What's the bull? And what's that on in between his horns? It's Egyptian, guys. Remember, the origin of religion is Egyptian. And the Apis bull is from ancient of times. And it has the symbol of the total solar eclipse on 6th of April 4 AD, if you've been paying attention. Because in Egypt, as in Jerusalem, they would have seen the total solar eclipse as we did ours on the 21st of August 2017 as a partial eclipse, as the sun, or the moon, crosses over the sun above it, so that it's a partial eclipse. And so the horns of the bull are the smile of the sun that's shown from the eclipse. The moon, therefore, is the disk on his head. And most people assume it's a sun disk. No, it's a lunar disk. The sun is the horns. And so that's the symbol. But notice in the stellarium picture that you have the sun in Aries. Now quickly remember your Old Testament story history and go to the sacrifice of Isaac, which is a symbol and type and shadow, whatever you want to call it, of the sacrifice of Osiris Jesus. And the sun is the representation of God, the Father God. The Father is the one who was assassinated by his brother, usurped. And Horus, the Horus Jesus, is the one who restores the kingdom, who rises as a child from the death of his father. And so that's how the partial eclipse is viewed, but also as this scene shows where the sun had just had its new moon phase. The new moon is always in conjunction with the sun, which is how total solar eclipses occur, is when the moon and the sun align, and then on the day and time of its new moon phase, it's directly over the sun. But this was not the case in 89. But notice that the 6th of May is the day after the new moon. And so the new moon, which is now rising or waxing, and so it's now the horns, and so it would be seen similar to the horns of Taurus, the constellation where it is, the horns. Notice where Jupiter is. If you've been paying attention, Jupiter is the one mighty and strong, Horus, the man-child of John's Revelation, Jesus of the Gospels, except for where he dies on a cross, Moses, or the latter-day Moses, the branch, Emmanuel, he's whatever term you want to give him, that's him. He's Jupiter. And you may say, well, Jupiter is the father of the gods. Who's his father? Exactly. And so Jupiter is the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, the Horus, the restorer of the kingdom. And he's right there at the top of Taurus's head, in between the horns, during the first day of the waxing moon. You can't fake this. This is just too awesome. And then of course you have Mercury, who is the messenger god. A message is being given to the world, an announcement, a trump, sounding to the world that he has been endowed. So there you go. That simple, that easy. And that would have been the year when they were doing the penalties. Sacrificing of the bulls. So, pretty cool. So add this to the other video as part of your checklist.